Alrighty, welcome back, YouTube. I've got all my garage attire on. I got the onesie, I got the wool cap. It's kind of cold out here. I do have the heater on full time because it is too much to do that, so it's only on when I need it. Today's video, I'm going to focus on how to do these frame inserts in case anybody likes to purchase them. Then they can come watch this video, see how I did it, and go from there. So over here on the passenger side, you can see I've already got the frame insert in on that side. We're going to go ahead and start sliding in the one on the passenger side, and I'll show you guys kind of how I did it, maybe give you a couple tips and tricks. If this is something that you're going to be doing in the future, this video might help. Okay, so when it comes to doing these frame inserts, you've got a lot of shit to do to get there. Let me run through that real quick. First things first, obviously, my truck doesn't have a box on it, but you can leave your box on. That's up to you. Taking it off would be easier, but to do this, you will have to remove your fuel tank. You'll have to remove that cross member, which is most likely going to need replaced anyways because these trucks rusted out because of how they built that damn cross member. But if you take your fuel tank out, you take your cross member out, you take your drive shaft out, you can get your truck up on jack stands, you can get it up on ramps, get it secured nice, and you've got plenty of room to work under there. And one of the most difficult parts about this project is getting the factory inserts out of the frame. So what I did to get them out was I took an old pry bar and I sharpened it down like a chisel, and I kind of cut the old ones off where I couldn't fit a grinder. And then there's a little bit of residual and I couldn't really get a grinder in there, so I used a plasma cutter and kind of leveled things out and cut things away. But these old ones, they peel out pretty easy. They have welds up against the back sides of these slots, and then they also have welds across the top the whole way through. So if there's a slot, there's a weld. On the other side, I only had to cut this weld, and I was able to peel the rest out after cutting it with a chisel and a hammer. But yeah, get your fuel tank out, drive shaft out, cross member out. You can start taking the old ones out. Once you have all the old stuff out, clean it. You got to clean it up. Clean it really good. You got to get all the powdered rust out of there, all the dirt out of there. Get it wire brushed, ground down, cleaned up. No fucking raw rust. No dirt, no nothing. You need to bring it in, you need to prime it. I primed my whole frame, but then I primed the inside really good, and then I did 2 coats of black on both sides, but the side's already done. We'll worry about that later. I know you're going to be doing some welding there, but you want to have as much of that metal coated as possible before you start to install this, because you're not going to be able to paint in between 2 pieces of metal. It's common sense. So I've primed and painted the outside of this, so it's ready to be placed in there and shaped in. I'm going to go ahead and start putting this one in, clamping it down, moving it around, and I'll touch base here in a few minutes. Alright, we got it slid in the frame. It's still got to be pressed down in, but if you look, you can see I've already got some of the arch in it right there. And then down there, that one arches this way. All you got to do is find somewhere, maybe the hitch of your pickup, maybe a bench vise, maybe smack it on the ground. You just got to get it pre-shaped a little bit so you're not fighting it so much inside the frame. They come flat because, well, that's just how they come. And then you just got to shape them in a hair, squeeze them in. All these frames are going to be slightly different because of rust, because of whatever. So you just got to shape it to your frame, start clamping it in. I'm going to start doing some clamping, and I'll show you guys some of my tricks. You just need a couple C-clamps, a couple vice grip clamps, and a couple sockets. You need the sockets so you can go in from the outside and hold it flat. You'll see here in a minute. Okay, got the frame insert slid in. Just kind of got to tip it at an angle and it slides all the way in. No problems. So for clamping, I used my C-clamp, clamped it down, replaced it with vice grip clamps, and we're looking to get the bottom flush up against where these holes are at. And up in here, if you look, let me get my flashlight. Up in here, if you look real close, you can see I got a socket and a really strong neodymium magnet to hold that socket in place, so you can get the C-clamp around things to really get some pressure in there. What we're going to do next we'll grab the air tool with the burr bit, and we're going to go in and clean up the paint out of where those holes are at, everywhere you can reach. And we'll get all these ones done, pop the clamp off. There's another one in there to reach. This one here just happens to land on top of a factory hole, so we're not going to fill that one up. But yeah, we'll get all those welded in solid, and then we can move the clamps, get that pressed down, move the clamps that way, get that pressed down. Once all these holes are plug welded, we can go back in with a little cutoff wheel and clean it up in spots to do some welding. don't judge those welds. I was having some issues. We're gonna have a better welds on the other side. All right, just using my handy dandy air grinder. I didn't buy the Snap-on tool, it was free. But anyways, using my air grinder and a little burr bit, go in, clean the paint out of the holes, come back through, plug weld it. What I like to do is get a nice hot plug weld on the bottom, let it sit for a second, and then go back and cover the top. Make sure you've got the bottom actual frame welded to that. You have to get the paint out of there or else you're just gonna fill that hole in that weld. It's not gonna hold a goddamn thing. So, I'm gonna go through, do a little more cleanup, a little more clamping, and then down there is difficult, so I will get that on video and show you guys how it's done. Alright, now we're getting it tacked in place. I'll have to tap that corner in with the chisel because I can't really get a clamp around that very well. Chisel and a hammer, little cutoff wheel, little wire brush, Dremel tool. Make sure you get all the paint off there so you have really good adhesion when you go to weld it together. Then up inside of here, go through the pocket that's right behind your leaf spring shackle. I don't have this tacked yet because I didn't have that clamped down, so I got that all tacked. Now that's clamped down, we're going to tack it here. I'm going to get this smashed in, and we're going to go ahead and do some welding and get this thing attached to the pickup. And for further up there, you can take the socket on the inside and put your C-clamp there. And I think there's another hole. Yeah, there's another hole further up on this side. And I don't see it on this side, so we'll see what we come up with. Okay, we've got this all welded in up to here so far, and it's tacked to where that C-clamp is I showed you in the last clip. Up here on the front, can't really get a video worth of shit in there, but that piece ends up right in here, and you just got to get in there from the end and tack, 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 weld, 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 whatever you can do to make it work. But that's where we're at so far. We'll get to the front here in a minute, and I'll do my best to get some good footage of that because it's a little bit more difficult. At least that side was. But we're almost done with the install. Alright, we're under the truck. There is another hole in the frame right there, but you can't get the clamp around it because on the other side is the bracket for your emergency brake. But we got it pushed down in from this side. I didn't get a video, but I had the C-clamp and a socket right in there. Tacked it there, pulled it out. The whole piece is in now, so I got a little bit of finish welding to do. We're going to get it primed, and that's about it. I mean, I'll show you guys what it looks like when it's done and primed. Yeah, this side looks better than that side. But anyways, that's where we're at again. Alrighty, the frame insert is in. It is primed. It is time to get a little bit of black paint put up there and in here because I got to do the cross member tube, but that's for another video. That's all there is to installing the frame inserts on both sides. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments. Message me across any social media platform and I should respond. But custom fabricated frame inserts, my idea, and Fab Addict Studio put my idea to life. And if you guys want a set of these, get a hold of me or look up Fab Addict Studios on Facebook. I'm pretty sure he's got all the dimensions needed to do exactly what I've done here. If you can't get a hold of him, get a hold of me. I'll see you guys on the next one.